Zaz, what do you do about the Miami Heat? I'm not even talking about this year, when I suspect that most Heat fans are just like lose all of the remaining games except the one against the Warriors.
No, it doesn't even matter. Well, and by the way, speaking of the Warriors, they only have 2 more games until Golden State comes here. If the Heat are on an 11-game losing streak when Jimmy Butler gets back, that is such an embarrassment.
I'll tell you, winning,
that really embarrasses me.
Winning that game to break an 11-game losing streak would
I'd rather
worth
break
losing
the streak.
every game for the rest of the year.
I don't want the storyline. I'm so embarrassed by it. That's going to be a headline all day long on ESPN television, that Jimmy Butler returns to Miami with the Heat on an 11-game losing streak.
Zaz, we debated last week. You think the Heat do a video for him?
Great question. I think the answer is yes.
Agreed.
And I thought about this yesterday. Very good coincidence that you brought this up, because this was in my head yesterday. I think the crowd will cheer him.
I agree. Yeah. I think you'll hear some boos.
I think enough time has gone by. I think the crowd will cheer him. And because Mike Biamonte is going to do the big intro, which I don't like, by the way, but he's going to do the whole big intro at the start. I think Jimmy's going to get a very good
Can we make a bet here? Because
there's a difference, though. I think we all agree during the starting lineups announcements he'll get that. 100%. But will he then, in the first quarter, get a video montage? That's the extra stuff.
All right.
Yes.
Well, you and Mike Ryan are on record, and I've seen this move from Mike Ryan before. It's a crafty one, where he puts himself in a position where he gets to win no matter what by trying to be classy about Jimmy Butler and saying, "I'm rooting for him in the event that he does win, so the pain hurts less."
I'm not rooting for him.
No, I know. He says he's rooting for him so that the pain will hurt less if he is hoisting the trophy. But when you guys say that you believe this, I haven't talked to anybody at the Heat, but I do know how angry Pat Riley is. And I'd be surprised if he puts down that anger in the name of optics. I'd be willing to bet the other way that you're not going to get the glory. You might get something, but you're going to get a token something so that it can't be a conversation. Oh, the Miami Heat were super small in this instance, but you will not get the biggest grateful thing.
You think it'll just be a picture of him on the Jumbotron? Thank you, Jimmy. Not even a video.
I don't believe that they're going to get past all their pettiness while possibly in the middle of an 11-game losing streak that they blame him for.
You're going to undo everything that is said about your organization, though, in one season, because the culture thing has become a punchline. And another thing that they usually say about this organization is that it's first class. So we're going to choose that opportunity to be petty. It's over. It's done with. His problem was with the front office and ownership and Pat Riley. It wasn't with this community. I know people feel a certain way about Jimmy, and I understand if you're a passionate Heat fan, you don't like the way that went down and you don't like what he did. But it's over. It's done with. You have way more good memories with Jimmy Butler, and you have to give the opportunity to the fans to respond however they may want. But you leave it up to the fans, and you give them that opportunity.
Ignoring it makes us seem like we're so hurt by this.
I didn't say ignore it.
Yeah, they're not going to ignore it.
I didn't say there would be an ignoring.
But just like a thank you, like a small thing will make us see like, oh, wow, they're hurt.
Okay, but
look how hurt they are.
You guys say you have more memories, good memories than bad memories, and that's true. But you also have, as the bad memory, something unprecedented in the history of the franchise. You have a mess unlike any other, and I don't think two things. I don't think that the Heat will put on some grand display, and I think you guys are giving Miami fans more credit for how it is that they behave when they're angry than I'm willing to give them for when they're angry.
That's fine. I would give them the opportunity. I think you owe it to the fans, even more than you owe it to Jimmy, to let them have that moment and speak for themselves.
I do think they're getting a video. I think you're getting the big introduction at the starting lineup. I think you're getting the video, and then they move on.
I can only be so mad at Jimmy for making it messy. That's what Jimmy does when he wants to get out of town. I'm mostly disappointed at Pat because I think he backed Jimmy into a corner that made it extra messy.
But also, that, right? Like, the common fan might not understand that Jimmy always makes a mess when he leaves and then has a really good start in the next place. So
it's a great point.
There's kind of I would imagine it's probably 60-40 cheers for Jimmy, maybe 75-25. I would think
that's a lot of booze.
I'm telling you,
that'll sound more like booze if it's
Yeah,
in talking to fans around the arena. Like, there was a fan there yesterday wearing a Jimmy Butler Warriors jersey.
Oh man, have a little integrity,
right?
My
And
God.
the people, well, but exactly, that was the response from every person I talked to around him in that
yourself.
section.
You are applying logic to something that's emotional. It's not really how rage works. Like, that's not. You're saying that Jeremy's making a good point by taking into account the history, being reasonable, and if you attack this unemotionally, all of you are right. But that's not the nature of fandom, to be unemotional.
Well, but which was worse, LeBron leaving or Jimmy leaving?
LeBron, way worse.
Well, we gave LeBron a really good, welcome when they came back.
When he was able to come back and he actually played. Because remember, he avoided that situation entirely for his first several opportunities to do so. But I guess I have some separation from
That's
it because
not true. The first time they were able to come, and he beat them. Remember, Juwan Howard smiling on the side.
Was that the very first
Yeah,
time? Okay,
yeah.
well, I know that he was like a DMP for a lot, but okay, you're right. But I've been separated from the emotion of the Miami Heat because of the way that the season's gone down. But the Jimmy thing is totally different than the LeBron thing because Jimmy's at the end of his career, and he may have one last
Which
run
you
in
would
him.
believe would make the response to LeBron even worse. And
Which is why
we gave him a nice response. when he came.
I'm just explaining how I feel about it. Not only was I more passionate about the brand itself, but I knew LeBron leaving at that point in his career ripped away several more NBA finals.
So much more devastating.
appearances. Yeah,
so much more.
Whereas this is the guy at the end of his career, and he's
this was
essentially
just
a role
nasty
player.
is what it was.
Yeah.
And when it ends that way, though, and you're looking at it from the perspective of a fan that knows how the league works, knows how basketball works, when you're talking about the common fan that's just like buying tickets to a game and they're saying, oh, Jimmy's coming back into town.
They're dumb.
That sounds interesting.
You're saying they're dumb.
No, I'm saying that not everyone works on a sports radio show. Not everyone works for a sports podcast and has the ability to look at it and say, oh, man, for the rest of his career, he'll be this. They might have just looked at it when LeBron came back into town as, hey, he won 2 championships. We still have D. Wade and Chris Bosh. Things are fine. We're going to be competitive. It's cool. Where that same fan might look at it now and go, hey, Jimmy never actually won officially anything here. We had those great moments, but the way this gets sabotaged and leads to the longest losing streak of Spo's career, it might leave the common fan a little more bitter than those of us with the perspective to look at the long term of both of their careers.
The perspective you're giving the common fan while also saying that, oh, Jimmy's coming to town, we should do it again and just kind of hang out and watch him. Like, it feels like they can't both be the same.
Some people will say, oh, Jimmy's coming back to town. He ruined everything. Let's go and boo him. And some people will say, oh, Jimmy's coming back to town. That's going to be an event. Let's go cheer.
I've never
those people exist.
understood either the mentality of the heckler or the booer. It's not something I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it or that it's not right to do it.
You've never got up at a game and went,
David, no, I have not. But David Sampson used to be a heckler before. As a fan, he was an actual heckler. I've never understood because it's not just boo, okay? Something you're suggesting that to boo is just to get your frustration out. No, it isn't. It's so you can see all around you that people are watching you and your frustration. You're trying to be so loud that you make sure that everyone notices you're disgusted. And the reason that I don't agree with you guys on what he's going to get in terms of a return is because you guys aren't paying attention to how many unhappy people there are in Miami who want attention for their unhappiness. And the state of the Heat right now, no matter what your logic is, the state of the Heat right now is it didn't feel like this the 5 years he was here. It didn't feel like this until he did everything he did at the end. Whether he was right or wrong to do it, what you presently have, which is what feels like a hopeless future right now, right? Because you're like, how are they going to fix this? You could blame it on one of two people, and only one of them is going to have the opportunity, if you give him a video, in order to express your frustration with him. Because it's either him or Pat Riley, and your frustration is just going to be about the 9-game losing streak.
boy, that's going to be an ugly scene if they're playing a video and it's just raining down boos.
I don't see that.
I don't see it either, but man, that will be an ugly scene.